And if I end up, I'll probably move my horse over there too.
Okay.
All right, folks, is it just Tuesday, dear God? Go ahead and check in for me if you have not already done so.
Here it is. It's fine.
Again, I feel like my slides, because I've been teaching this class for a while, are like time capsules. And sometimes I see the slides, I was like, what was I thinking? Like, why is that image that has nothing to do with anything up there? When I leave them. Sometimes because they make me laugh.
Sold to the circus. My parents even like, oh.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah.
All right, so before we get to the fun stuff for today, some miscellaneous stuff. First of all, your app, that was actually app one, feedback. So in general, those are very good. So nicely done. I did leave comments on everybody. Make sure you know how to see those. I found sometimes people don't know, like, so yes, you write the little paragraph that you're like, nice job, anywhere. But then on the document, there's actual comments. And that's where like it's the meat and potatoes, so to speak. So make sure you know where to see those, because sometimes people don't. But in general, they were well done. If you have questions, if you're still confused, please do not hesitate to reach out to me and go over it. Also remember, there are lots of points in this class, including all the bonus assignments. So even though I'm telling you those were good, some of you are like, but mine wasn't perfect. I need to be perfect. Remember that's that. The two things I saw, one, matrix item. On a Google form, if you are using items that have the same scale and are similar. So here we're usually talking about our multi-item measurements. So for example, if you're using stress and you've got 7 items, or sense of community, you got 7 items. What you want to do is you want to use this multiple choice grid. I just realized in your comments, I called it a matrix. That's another program. But multiple choice grid. And then your columns become your answer choices. So let's say strongly disagree, neither, agree, strongly agree. Bless you. And then your rows become your items. So this is the best class ever. I am so excited to come to class, etc. Okay. Then what that looks like, it looks a little nicer, right? So instead of repeating this top part again and again and again, and you're getting really long, it just stays there. People go boom, 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 boom. Okay. So if you see a comment that says use the matrix, it's that multiple choice grid. The other thing, just to be careful on, is this whole idea of, I guess there are 2 things really. One, validity. So make sure your item is actually measuring the variable you say it's measuring. So, and that's not always obvious. So let's say my variable was physical fitness, and the item asked about the 1 mile run. Is that measuring physical fitness? Maybe. Okay. So sometimes it's not always obvious, but sometimes you're like clearly off. Sometimes you're like, my variable is physical fitness. Did you eat a healthy meal today? Well, that's not physical fitness. The other thing, just be careful about writing items that ask people They're perceptions of causality, okay, that ask people if they think that one thing caused another, okay? Do you think that eating cheese made you happier? I do think eating cheese makes me happier, but in general, what we want to do is measure those independently. So you might see a comment to measure those independently. Do you eat cheese and are you happy? Okay. Some of you asked or included items like I feel happier after I work out. And I probably left a comment that was like, just be careful. That's fine, because you're really asking about a time order, not did one thing cause another. So it's fine, it's just a slippery slope sometimes. So I would rather you get in the habit of asking those things independently. I worked out, and then what's your mood? Okay. Just get in that habit and let the analysis do the work. Those aren't wrong if you asked about how things happen in order of time. I just encourage you to get in the habit of doing it differently, so you don't. But like I said, in general, they were quite good. Do you have questions about app 1?
Oh, mine's about app 3.
App 3, okay. Hold that thought, because I'm gonna talk about that right now, and then if you still have a question, you can. So some tips on app 3. 1, match the item to the objective exactly. So, let me give you an example. Let's say my objective is by the end of class, at least 72% of students will report that they had fun, okay? Time bound by end of class, at least 72% of students, it's specific, and I know exactly what success looks like. Will report, tells me I'm gonna use some sort of survey that they had fun, tells me what I'm gonna ask. The easiest way to do this is in your item, did you have fun? Yes, no, nominal measurement. That's by far the easiest way. Sometimes I see people, I don't know if we like drilled in your head not to plagiarize or what it is, but you feel like you have to get cute here. Okay, so they'll write the objective says by end of class, at least 72% of students will report that they had fun. And then the item will say like, were you in a good mood after class? Like, well, I mean, maybe that's, but just say fun, like, just repeat it. Like, don't get fancy. Just repeat it. Okay. Make your life easy and don't make me guess. Is good mood the same thing as fun? Like, you don't need a thesaurus. Just say the same thing. So, that's one thing I see. Okay. The other one, we'll use the same objective. By end of class, at least 72% of students will report they had fun. And then you'll use a Likert item. So I had fun, strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. If you do this, the comment you're going to get from me is which answer meets the objective? Okay. In other words, did they have to agree with that statement? Did they have to strongly agree? Is neutral okay? Like it's not clear. Okay. So what I suggest to you is if you're struggling, just make this nominal yes, no, make your life easy. That said, I encourage you to try to make it or interval because it'll give us more power later on. Okay. there's a couple ways we do that. The easiest way here is in the class, at least 72% of students will agree or strongly agree that they had fun. Okay, now I know that I need them to either agree or strongly agree with the statement. So that's if you see a comment say, make sure it's clear what would meet your objective, that's what I'm talking about. I feel like I'm talking pretty fast.
Makes sense.
The other thing I'll see sometimes is people will ask about or do an objective about increase, decrease. So in class, at least 70% of students will report that they learned more about eval. And then they'll write the item and it says, did you learn about eval? And then my comment here is, it doesn't mean they increased or decreased. It just means they learned about eval. I don't know if it was more or less. So there's two workarounds to this. One is to do a pre-test, post-test design. So you ask before, you ask after. Okay. That's your ideal world. In most situations, we're doing cross-sectional design. It's easier, it takes less time. So you've only got one shot at this. Okay, so you make it a simple adjustment. Did you learn more about eval? Did your self-confidence increase? Did your self-esteem increase? Rate your agreement with this statement. My self-confidence increased. Okay, rather than just saying I have self-confidence. So I, again, encourage you to try to think about doing this in a cross-sectional design rather than a pre and post test, because it's just what you're going to use most of the time. Okay. Those are the three things I see most common mistakes. And those are all fairly minor. Questions about that? Did I cover your question or do you have another one?
Mine was about like the sample for the systematic random sampling. What is it that we were supposed to do for that?
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you, hold that again, because that's today's lecture. Okay. All right, miscellaneous, reminder about how attendance works. This is not your class, but yours looks the same. So what I do with the iClicker data, like after class, I go back to my computer and I look at this spreadsheet. Okay. So remember, each class is worth 1.5 or something. If you tell me in advance that you're not going to be here, you get half that points back. If you then watch the recording and write me a brief summary, you get all the points back. Okay. So what my spreadsheet looks like is red didn't tell me you were going to miss class. Yellow told me, but didn't do a key concepts form. So no points, half points, and then green did the key concepts form. So full points. Okay. So that's how that looks. So just a reminder, if you want the full points, tell me in advance and complete the key concepts form.
Can I still do the key concepts from the other day or no?
Yeah, so technically, I think the syllabus says within a week, but I don't pay attention.
Okay.
If you send it to me, I go back in it. Yeah, yeah. And I'll also add kudos to you. You all have probably been the best group I've ever had at doing those little summaries. Usually most people are like, yeah, it's not worth the points. Quite frankly, it's so few points, you're probably right, it's not worth the points, but it's worth the understanding, which is gonna be points later. So it pays off in the end, I think. So kudos to you, but just a reminder, that's how that works. All right. So again, eval. criteria, what does success look like? What's our goals? What does success look like? Then we collect evidence to see if we met our criteria. Then we make a judgment. Okay, that's our goal attainment model. Okay. Then we worked on writing objectives, which is our criteria in a way that allows us to easily measure them on a survey, and we've talked about variables. Okay. Today, we're gonna do sampling. So sampling is the process by which we collect data. Okay. The process by which we collect data. Anybody got Yoda voice? No, I'm just gonna do it. Voice. I can't do it. A couple of you like want to, but you don't quite have the courage. That's okay. All right, before we get to sample, we need to introduce another term, which is population. Population is everybody we are interested in. Population is everybody we are interested in. Let's say I want to know if attending class improves grades for college students. Then everybody I'm interested in that example is college students. Okay, college students is my population. Now, can I get data on every college student? No. And that's where I have to get a sample, a section of the population, a subset of the population. Who your population is depends on how you frame your question. In that example, I said, is going to class improve grades for college students? I could have said, does it improve grade for ASU students? In which case my population becomes ASU students. I could have said, does it improve grades for students in CRD 402? In which case you become my population. In most cases, our population is a bigger group, okay? But we're only able to get data for the subset. So the sample is our subset. There are different processes for how we get our sample. And each one of those has implications. Take a napkin, take a cup.
That's what I needed today.
Yeah, let me get these going and pour you out some M&Ms. You can use the cup to dip them. We should have plenty. You need at least 20. I would encourage you to have more than that. Not that you're going to be counting, but yeah, pour you out a nice healthy amount. I did not
What if we
take
get
this.
to the end of the road and
There's-
there's none
You
left?
need that, well, you could just dip them in the cup, I guess you don't like that. You will need the napkin. Let me get you all.
Now, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Oh, I got two.
let's see if I can remember some. No, I didn't. I have these little like.
Cup full. You need at least 20. No, I really like M&Ms, which is my encouragement to you to eat as many of these as possible. Otherwise, they will end up on my desk and I will eat them way too quickly.
Fair.
All right, while those are going, Annika, what was your question?
You realize and it's other covering, so with my.
It's weird to me.
you can think about that bigger, like even though it's in the program, are you really interested in, so what's the program?
20 or maybe.
Oh. What time is that again? Seven. I have to go home immediately and then I have to take Paula in the airport and she got a car accident. Okay, yeah, thank goodness, her car's like not too bad. Her car's not- I know, so
Or both?
she needs my help.
Depends on what you're in.
So when I get it from her, so bad from her car. I want to like.
Don't eat these yet. Yeah, I just encourage you to eat them and then I was like, but not yet, not yet.
These are internship on here, eh? Yeah, and obviously like I will, 'cause she-
Got a smaller bag.
right, but I'm also like. With me, and then I gotta go pick up her parents. And then they're here Wednesday night, Thursday. We have Thursday night class game, I can without that, because it's Morgan's birthday that night, so she has to put her birthday dinner back a little bit.
Is it that bad?
So then.
I need it.
And then I have to wake up on Friday, do whatever I need to do, and then we're going on.
You don't have to eat them, but if you like going.
I thought I had candy in my bag, but it's.
Do we need to cut?
Oh.
No,
we
she
didn't
now.
That was the dip, yeah.
Not the candy that I
Where
thought
the-
have a little.
Oh.
I too. What you want?
And, kind of lower.
I literally had it back in the beans in my bag. And then I was like.
Well, I probably more not that.
I should have kept it on the bin there.
This down.
I'll say something.
How many more are in that one?
We have plenty.
Okay, yeah, there's.
Okay.
Good. Like, how much does everyone else have? A lot? Like, what you know. Damn. Some people have like that.
No, that is
Oh,
yours.
that's fine.
That's it.
ET and Wally, just like the little.
I know it's gonna
We
be.
watched that movie in the summer, we did it. Like, we didn't get it. Yeah, let's look, yeah.
Like I went on like the Eastern ride at like Universal, and it was cool, you know, to, like actually ride on the ride. The moon and stuff, so.
We all good? All good. All right, looks like we did good damage on those M&Ms too. Feel free to go to 20.
Oh, one.
There's a few more left if you want more. Okay. Here you go, if you want it.
I am a chocolate monster, so.
All right. M&Ms are population. Broadly, we have two types of sampling. Broadly, we'll get more detail. Okay. First type is probability. In probability sampling, every person, or in this case, M&Ms are people, every person in your population has an equal chance of being selected for your sample. Again, in probability sampling, every person in your population has an equal chance of being selected for your sample. Second type, and we're going to talk about these individual ones, is non-probability. in non-probability sampling, there is some bias to who gets selected. There's some bias to who's in my sample. Maybe I'm out on Taylor Place handing out surveys, and I don't like blondes, so I skip you all.
Once.
There's some bias in our sample. There's a couple types of things. We'll talk about. All right. Within probability sampling, our first type is called simple random. Or I will sometimes refer to this as a draw names out of a hat approach. Okay. Simple random. Technically, we'll often use a random number generator to do this, but if you literally put every name in a hat and drew it out, that would be simple random. The key to simple random is technically you have to have access to your entire population. If my population was college students and I wanted to do a simple random sample, I would have to throw every college student's name into a hat and draw from it. If you do not have access to your entire population, remember the population is how you define it. But if you do not have access to the entire thing, you cannot do simple random. Actually, you can't do anything, it's random.
It just requires access to your entire population. How about
Okay. So, within your M&Ms, take a simple random sample of 20, count how many of each color. So you're just gonna pull out, take your 20, count how many of each color.
like just what you know the plus.
Red, green, yellow, brown, blue. All right.
Orange.
Orange.
I think there was purple.
We can just.
I feel like people would eat those. I don't know. I think they're amazing. What? Ew.
Yeah.
Pretty pebble flavored, like chocolate bars.
It's happening to all my bad habits. Fruity Pebbles, M&M's.
Have you tried the Fruity Pebble chocolate bar?
Oh, it is.
No, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, some of them have bought it for my job and then they
Oh,
let me
right.
take a bite of it.
All right, so after you've counted and then determine the percentage. So real simple because it's 20. Okay, if you've got 4, it's 20%. You've got 2, it's 10%. You've got 6, it's 30%.
Percentage of what?
Out of 20. So how many, what percentage is red, what percentage is green, what percentage is yellow?
Should we write this down?
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna ask for a couple volunteers
You
to
said 4 was how many, sorry?
just cut it in half. So 4 is 20%.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Let me take.
My goodness me.
Okay. Now, combine with 2 to 4 people. Okay, and get a new percentage. So whoever's close to you, whatever kind of works. 2 to 4 people. You should not need to recount the M&Ms, by the way. Just add them up.
I redid it.
If you want to make your life simple, make it a group of 5, because then it's out of 100.
Okay. I just wanna join. Okay, so what we're gonna
You want to make your life simple, make it a group of 5, because then you're got 100 M&Ms and the percentage becomes easy.
just tell me how many.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and then how many,
If you guys have, is that extra?
oh, yeah.
You didn't have. It's just 7 divided by 20.
We don't like chocolate.
Okay, wait,
Technically, it's 7 divided by 20.
Okay, or.
Okay, so just do like that.
Any of
Yellow,
these.
yellow, 4. Green. 3. Blue. 4. 7. Brown. 3. Okay, and then I had 5 brown, so that makes 8. I had 4 blue. You had 4 blue too, right? And I had 6 green, 9, 10. So I had 1, 5. Okay, guys, what did you have? Just tell me your quantities, not your percentages. Start with red. Okay.
3,
Orange.
5.
Green is 4.
Oh, yeah, 4 yellow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's just. Yeah.
11 in total.
I've got mine.
Oh, you said it? Okay, let's hear it. What's your red?
I manned it. 4 red.
Okay, orange.
3.
Yellow. Green. 3. And 4.
Yeah.
Blue.
8.
Brown. 1.
So now we.
Just like.
Yeah.
Oh, for brown. Okay.
You divided by 20? No, you divided by 80 because we just combined all of ours.
All right. Y'all, I'm not trying to do this on purpose, but I did it again.
Okay, so for ours, it's gonna be for the percentages, red's 15.
Yellow?
Yeah. Orange is like, do I need to write this down? Like that doesn't add up. Somebody give me a wrong number. That's why I'm confused.
I mean, I was trying to eavesdrop.
I know, I'm gonna give it to you, but now my math isn't mathing. Mine doesn't add up.
Math isn't mathing.
Well, hold on, because I have like 15, 10, 20, 20, 15, and 16.25. So that one,
How many total M&Ms did you get?
that's a great question.
Oh, it's a little late.
I got
It was
it.
5 of you, it should have been 100, so.
Yes.
No, you guys should just be at 8.
Just counted it again. You can count it.
Wait, are you guys going off of 100?
80.
Okay. All right, any group got a count for me?
What's the 20?
Joe, what's your group? What percent of red?
Red is 17%.
Green.
You don't have 20.
15%.
Cause I put them
Yellow.
already, bro.
Brown?
14%.
Blue?
22.
I need 2 more.
Orange.
25.
We'll see.
5, 6, 7,
Did you
8, 9,
just
10,
get
11,
this?
12, 14.
Abby, did we figure out our math?
Did you have too many or too little? You got too little.
totally.
Well, my
You
OCD
realize she's just completely throwing you. under
Well,
the
so
bus
I
there.
did the whole thing wrong. I didn't simple random it at all. My
Oh, oh.
OCD kicked in and I made it like 4 separate like amounts for each.
By the way, this is always interesting to me to watch people do this
Yeah, and
activity
then I
because
was like, well, Colton was like, that's not simple random, is it? And I was like, oh.
I just saw, I started just, alright, where we're at. Who else had a biggish group? Emma, what got it?
It's because I had to-
2, that's right, what do you got? What percent red?
So wait,
Percent green?
5%, so like.
17.5.
I'm just out of.
Yellow.
4, cause I put mine out. and
12.5.
so which color?
Brown?
I added a red, a yellow and a brown.
Blue?
Okay.
a
Orange.
red, a yellow, and a brown.
Me too. But just one each.
Alright, give me one more.
Okay, we
Another
got-
group got numbers for me?
I think we have it.
We're
You
about.
got it?
1 second, let me make sure.
Alright.
A red, yellow, you said red.
Red, yellow, brown.
Hope this matched. Okay, red 16.25.
That's my bad.
16.25 for red and orange.
Hold on, wait, how many total M&Ms do you have?
80.
Okay, sorry, so, second, so red was.
16.25.
16.3, right?
Or no, 25. Orange is 16.25 as well. And then yellow is 11.25. And then green and blue are both 20%. And then brown is 16.25. Sorry.
Okay, I'm not gonna answer everybody's, but keep track. Alright, so that is simple random. Alright, return your sample to the population.
Wait, what? Which one?
Return your sample to the population.
Mine needs to never go open. That ruined. Every time I went to open.
This is your brain selecting. You organized it as you.
I did, I organized it.
Okay. Our next one is called systematic random. Again, we have to have access to the entire population, which I guess technically we don't, but we're gonna pretend.
What if your population keeps getting smaller and smaller?
Will that happen to me?
Some bias there. Yeah, I noticed a couple of your mouths moving. Yeah. All right, so it's very similar to simple random, but you have some system. Okay, for selecting. The most common way we do this is we have a list of names, we put them in alphabetical order. Okay. And then we take every 5th person or every 3rd person or every 7th person or every 10th person, whatever. Okay. So what you are going to do, you're gonna take a systematic random sample until you get to 20. So I would recommend taking every other M&M. So really you should line them all up and take every other one. All of them until you get 20.
Realign them by color or just?
No, I just line them up. So it's a great question. If you just line them up, there's no inherent bias to that, so it's fine.
I'm gonna do it slowly by hand. That's a good idea. You know what? I need an empty cup.
Oh, well, I had one here, that didn't work.
Give me that empty cup.
Do that individually, write down your individual numbers and then do it in groups again.
This is because I'm gonna do with my eyes shut. I'm gonna drop them in the cup and count. Okay, ready?
Make it more difficult, but.
Yeah, you want a sample of 20.
I'm just telling everyone. Everyone else. Other one else. But
11, 12.
That's the speed you lined those up with.
13, 14.
Okay.
All right. Hold Tony.
Okay, we're done.
Yes.
I'm gonna figure out what this tells me, but there's some personality tests in how you do this.
I had to do it with
That's
my,
something about you.
with my eyes closed. I did it with my eyes closed, dropped it into an empty cup, so.
So you only have 20 of the population?
Yeah.
Um, Go back. Or you're gonna combine. After you do it individually, combine again.
Don't worry, ladies, I have advice this time.
I have no doubt in your brain. I knew you.
You know what? It's because I tried my OCD too much and, now I do.
You want percents again?
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay, guys.
You have your top.
Yeah, didn't do it as a group again.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I think it's easier to first do it individually and then.
Now we do the percentages.
Okay.
Hey. Man, I got a lot to do. I'm ready to take my whole one of my group's done.
I'm ready.
Okay, yeah.
I have 3 yellow.
Wait, hold on. Did you have any red?
Yes.
Or yellows?
I got 2
Okay.
yellows.
And then you said you had 3, how many orange? Wait, did you take out every? Okay, how many yellow? 3. Green.
None.
Okay, blue.
Not every other one.
4.
That's what I'm saying. I only poured out 20.
5. No.
Are you supposed to pick out 10 or pick out 20?
We wanna simplify.
One. Okay, fair.
Wait, let me.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. 4.
2.
5, yellow,
2.
green,
6.
blue, brown,
5.
4.
Hello?
Okay,
Okay.
you ready? Red,
You got it, Abby?
4.
5 orange.
Okay. Orange, 2.
What?
Yellow,
4%.
1. 20.
5 is 20.
Oh,
No, that's
2.
20.
Blue,
Yeah.
13 plus 8.
What is this?
21. Okay, brown,
Because 5, 5.
3.
25, 25.
Percentages.
That makes sense. I see that.
Got it, check. Alright, red,
15, green,
No, it's 20.
18,
Oh.
yellow,
Dang.
10, brown, 11, blue, 27,
5.
and orange.
19.
25.
Abby, you got it?
Almost.
10, 5, 40.
Oh, and who was my second?
Hold on.
Oh, yeah, Emma.
No.
8 orange.
Oh, there will be 10. Sorry.
I'm hard to balance.
No, is that my hot word?
27.
I'll trust it does.
Your sample rate is 20. You go get
7 brown.
Yeah. 11.
You're wanting the percent, right?
Yeah, what do you got?
For red, 10,
Cool.
Green,
Just 27.
25,
yellow,
5,
10,
brown,
15.
What color was that?
blue,
That was yellow, green, yeah.
orange,
Oh,
22.5.
Yeah.
Abby, you got numbers for me?
Yeah.
Red,
11.25,
11.25,
and they're all 25, yeah.
5 times 8.
Orange is 21.25. Yellow is 7.
I don't know. It's just,
Green's 13.75. Blue is 26.25.
I'm not in actually.
And brown is 21.
alright, that is systematic, random. Our next one. The next one is stratified, random. Okay, this is the point in the class where I complain about vocabulary. I'm sorry. All these words sound alike. I didn't make them up. Okay, so we've got simple random, systematic has a system, and now we have stratified. Stratified is when there is a certain characteristic of the population that we want to make sure is represented in our sample. Let me give examples. Let's say I am interested in, my population is nurses. We know nursing is a predominantly female population. We want to make sure our sample also captures males. Let's say males are 18% of the population of nurses. We want to make sure our sample is 18% men to match the population. What we do step one, divide the population by a characteristic. By the characteristic you're interested in. So in this case, and I'm going to oversimplify, but in this case, we're going to do gender, male, female. So I'm going to divide my population of nurses, male, female. Okay, so I now have two groups. Step two, determine sample size. For our purposes, we're gonna say I need 100, I need 200, I need 300, it doesn't really matter. The bigger the sample, the better, but, so let's say, for example, I want a sample size of 100. I want 18% of that sample to be male. So how many males do I want in my sample? 18, okay? So I've got my population of male nurses. I've got my population of female nurses. I'm gonna take a random sample within each group until I meet my sample size. So I'm gonna take all my male nurses and I'm gonna randomly sample them, simple or systematic, so it's a combination, until I get 18. Then I'm gonna take my population of female nurses. I'm gonna randomly sample those, simple or systematic, until I get 72. So what I'm doing here is I'm guaranteeing that my sample matches the population on a particular characteristic that I think is important. So let's say I was doing a sample of college students, and I thought it was really important to make sure that our sample matched our majors. Roughly 50% of you, I think, we'll say 50%, it's easier number. 50% of you are tourism majors. Okay. So what I would do, let's say this class is my population. Okay. I would take my tourism majors, put them over here. We'll just do everybody else, put them over here. Okay. Let's say I want a sample of 20. I've decided my sample size is 20. So then I'm going to randomly sample my tourism majors until I have 10 of you. Simple, random, systematic. I can go every other one. I can draw names out of a hat, whatever, until I get 10. Okay. And then I'm going to take my non-tourism majors, and in this case, I want 10 too, because I said 50%. Okay. But if it was 70%, I would randomly sample until there was 7 of you, or sorry, 14. I said a sample of 20. Okay. And then I'd randomly sample until there were 6 of you, 30%. Okay. So divide the population based on the identified characteristic. Okay. Determine sample size. Randomly sample within each group until you've got your sample size. For our purposes, I'll only ever give you examples with 2 groups, but obviously you can do this with multiple groups. In practice, we use this actually when we want to oversample. We use this when we think that a particular voice is underrepresented and we want to make sure that voice is well represented. So we tend to do this to oversample. Like we'll say population of nurses is 18%, male nurses 18%, but I want to do it at 30. Okay, because I think that voice is really important. Because technically, we did a simple random sample, you should naturally hit the numbers. So we usually do this to actually oversample, but that's the idea. So divide into groups, determine your sample size, randomly match, randomly sample until you meet your criteria. All right. So here's what I want you to do. Okay, you're gonna take a sample of 20%, or sorry, of 20 M&Ms again. Okay. I think it's really important that we represent orange. So I want 20% of your sample to be orange. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna put your orange M&Ms in a pile, you're gonna put everything else in a pile. You're gonna take a random sample of your orange M&Ms until you get how many? 4. 20% of 20.
I got my 4.
And then you're gonna randomly sample the rest of them until you get 16. Okay, do that and count.
But can we have orange in that other group or no? Orange in the other group or no?
Yeah, great question. No, orange not in the other group. They're segregationists.
What if we don't have 4 oranges?
Kind of combine.
I'm done.
You're gonna combine anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, we thought about it. Awesome. Yellow in mine. Really, I have a lot of yellow and I have a lot of orange.
So now we do these numbers.
Yeah, then combine your groups and see what your percentages are.
Okay, orange is. I didn't even make them OCD like and we ended up with 2. Okay, I'm missing a color. Red.
That's like half of them.
I don't, I'm red.
Oh, red.
Yellow, I have 2. I have 5 and I have 5, yes. I don't, wait.
Okay. Start from the top. No red?
No.
No red.
Yeah.
Okay, orange? 4. Oh wait, I don't need orange. Yellow?
Great. Maybe.
Green.
Yes, but I think
That's for blue.
So you got it?
25.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
when these
Yeah.
ones be like
Everybody's got
the
4.
male nurses.
Okay, reds. You both, you can both tell me at the same time. That makes sense. Okay. Okay, yellow.
That's 9.
I have 1.
Oh.
Yellow.
4.
2.
Okay, and then green.
Green.
2.
3.
And then blue.
4.
8. So that's 12.
15 plus, okay. And then brown.
2.
1. So 2.
Okay. Wait, you each had 1? Okay. We know this is 11. Okay, so 10 divided by 80.5%.
Red, 14, green,
18,
Yellow,
Oh, no, it's not
11,
divided by 100.
brown,
18,
blue.
19,
It's not 20, you did something wrong.
By 100.
Emily, you got it?
Yeah,
Red.
12.5,
Green,
and 17.5,
yellow,
17.5,
brown,
12.5,
Okay, what did I say?
blue,
8%?
20,
and then orange is not 20, you did something wrong. Abby, you got it?
Almost. I think we'll get all the math over here.
Okay, I went to fair, I would so help. Okay.
Here, Grace, why don't you read off what I already started read?
Okay, red is 8%. Orange is 20%. Yellow is 11.25%. Green is 16.25%. Blue is 28.75. And then
Brown's 13.75.
Right, that is the most difficult one we're gonna do. So that is all our probability samples. But that each person or each M&M in your population has an equal chance of being selected. Convenience sampling. Convenience sampling is whatever is easy to get. How can I get data easily? This is what we do most of the time. Most of what we do is convenience sampling. Take whatever 20 M&M, actually, in the interest of time, we're not gonna count out, but, bless you. If I were to ask you this, I would say, take whatever 20 M&Ms you want. Most of what, we're actually not gonna count, sorry, because we're flipping. Most of what we do is convenience sampling. That's okay. It's kind of like cross-sectional design. I'll tell you, is this the best? No, but it's more practical. What I want you to be careful of is saying something at random that's not. So if I went out in Taylor Place Mall and I just handed out surveys, that is convenience. It is not random. Now, you might think, but I was just handing it out to random people. Okay. No, you weren't. You were handing it out to people who had class at a particular time. Most likely you were handing it out to people you felt more comfortable approaching. There's some bias there. Okay. Remember, to be truly random, you have to have access to your entire population. If I went out to Taylor Place Mall, and I said, say my population was downtown students, and I said, every third person that passes me, I'm gonna give out a survey, now I'm random. Now I'm systematic random. If I'm just randomly giving out surveys, I'm at convenience. Don't be afraid to say you're doing convenience sampling. It's most of what we do. Realize it's imperfect. Recognize your biases. Recognize I felt more comfortable approaching people who are under 5'5", and that introduces a bias. I felt more comfortable approaching my friends. That introduces a bias. Be aware of that. At the end of the day, when you collect your sample, look at the characteristics, see if it's similar to your population. That's what I mean by it. That's convenience. That's most of what we do. Snowball sample. Okay. Snowball sample is when you are looking at a niche or a unique population that is hard to access. Okay. My Arizona folks, a snowball is this thing, it's like moist, and you roll it up and it gets bigger, okay? So in a snowball sample, what I find is I find one person who meets my criteria, they help me find another, they help me find another, they help me find another. A friend of mine in Utah was doing a study on heli skiers. So these are folks who would take a helicopter out in the backcountry of the mountains and they drop down from the helicopter and ski out. Not a lot of those folks. Okay. So he found one that person helped them find another, that person helped them find another, et cetera. Kaylee, some of you have met my PhD student, Kaylee, did a study on women power lifters. She's snowball sampling, right? She found one who recommended, like this community, they recommended someone else, they recommended someone else. Okay. So we use it when we are looking at a niche population. Okay, or we're skipping that. All right. Here's the drum roll. In case you're curious what the entire population of M&Ms is, brown is 13%. So our stratified random, interestingly, was closest. But simple random, not bad. Red, also 13%. Our systematic was probably closest. Stratified, not bad. Yellow, 14%. Again, our simple was probably closest. Blue, 24. And you'll notice all of you, your blue was higher. Okay. And then orange, 20%, which is surprise, we were perfect when I forced you to do.
Is this like on the like M&M page of whatever, like?
Yeah, it's straight from M&M's. I forget where I got it, but yeah, this is legit, like, this is what they make.
That's what they produce.
This is
Why
what
don't we just make it even? I bet 4 dice.
I've
cost
always seen
different.
I don't know.
Nothing
actually.
Maybe the dice.
So to be perfectly honest, there's no big lesson in having you count them out other than just to make this a little more engaging. However, one point that we could ideally make, and you may notice if you're looking at like your individuals, most likely you're going to be farther off than when we start combining groups. Okay? And if we combine the whole class and then a random, we would probably start to get pretty close to this. So the bigger your sample, the more likely you are to be representative of your population. If I have a sample of 5 and my population is all college students, chances are I'm not going to be very similar in characteristics. Okay. The bigger the sample, the closer you are. There's some math, but in general, even for like a national population, so if I am, if my population is all, well, I'll give you a good example. I did a study and my population was high school male athletes. Okay. I needed a sample size, a random sample size of, it was like 400 and something to have a good chance of being matching the populational characteristics. It's not as big as you think if you're random. Okay. If it was all US citizens, usually the population around 800. So it's not like, to be like, it's best possible information, I need everybody. Like, I'm talking about millions of people, and I need about 800 to most likely, if it's truly random, Okay, what questions do you have about sampling? You can now finish up your last application assignment. Melissa, did we answer your question that I kept telling you to wait? Okay, so you can now finish that up. I think on the exam I forget if I asked about systematic random or stratified random, but I basically asked you to describe it.
And the exam's next Tuesday?
Yes. All right, so first of all, you may now eat your M&Ms or donate them to me, if you'd like. Okay. So let's look ahead a bit. I thought we were gonna run out of time. All of a sudden, I wrapped up.
Yeah, me neither.
Do you want my?
So, yeah, the time has come. So Thursday, we're gonna review. As a reminder, review materials are up on Canvas already. They have been all semester. If you go to modules and daily class plans, and then go down to midterm and review. So it's a review guide. You can practice your reading engagement quizzes. We'll probably update this. Actually, we will do it right now. And then there's some little videos, there's some little audios reviewing concepts. All there. That's what's muddy, and I'm gonna do this for you too, is I'm gonna ask you what's still confusing, and then I do a little, like, I answer those questions. The review guide is going to tell you, we'll go over this on Thursday, but exactly what questions are on your exam. You'll just get a different example, right? So the review guide says, you're interested in nurses, you know that 18% of nurses are male, and you want to do a stratified random sample and get a sample of 100. How do you do it? Then your exam would give the same question, but it might say, you're interested in mechanics, you know that 9% of mechanics are female, and you want to make sure, like, with the exact same questions, no surprises, there will be no surprises, no surprise whatsoever.
Is it online or on paper?
Here.
Paper, is it on paper?
On paper, yeah.
Okay.
I'll speak. I've given this exam enough to know, like, you have plenty of time. But I also tell you, like, no one is after us, so if you're like freaked out about time, don't worry about it, yeah. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I can look. The format is four multiple choice that are taken, that one literally randomly from your REQs. Your reading engagement quizzes, I just randomly select 4. I think 4 definitions, we'll walk out through this Thursday, but most of it is the scenarios. Okay. I think, because I lost you, so we can practice.
I'll come up to my roommate.
I'll say, I don't even.
We'll just wrap up with sampling a little, we'll do, I'm very sorry, a little bit of sampling. We'll do a little bit of sampling up top on Thursday. The way Thursday works, we're gonna come in, I'm gonna answer some questions. I'm gonna give you independent time to go through the review guide. I'll walk around, answer your questions, we'll come back, I'll answer your questions. I will tell you, in case you're like, well, I can do the review guide on my own and I'll skip class. Yes, you can. A, there's real value in forcing yourself to come do it. B, I tend to drop not so subtle hints during the review sessions of what's gonna be on there. Also, we'll do a Zoom review the night before for anybody who wants to drop in.
The night before class or the night before?
For the exam.
Okay.
Before you leave, here's what I want from you. On your iClicker, if I can find it.
Are these questions part of our grades?
Yeah.
Great.
They just make sure that you're actually
Um,
be here.
so here's the question. What is,
Good, you know.
what is muddy to you? So what's still not clear? What concepts are you still struggling? What, in other words, what do you want to make sure that I really cover on Thursday or give you more information online? Like, what are you still struggling with? What's muddy? You still feel, what do you feel not as confident about?
My stomach is muddy right now.
Your stomach is muddy?
M&Ms.
Oh, from M&Ms. I was like, for the exam, you're doing great. I can't take responsibility for how many M&Ms you ate. I may have been the tempter, but you still had free will to not eat them. But
Wait,
thank you for saving my stomach.
There will be stratified.
Huh?
There will be stratified.
There will be stratified.
Oh,
Are you asking?
it's not an option on these, but can I?
Oh, sorry. It should be just forget this.
Okay, that's the one that I'm actually.
You can say that. This should be a short answer, so just type in.
I'm thinking.
That just had to be the slide that was up. It
I'm thinking
matches the slide.
systematic.
That was an answer. Sorry, that was confusing.
Sorry, I mean systematic. It's not on there. I'm not struggling with systematic, but it is not.
That is my answer, so.
All right, team. Some of you have shared early Act 3 stuff with me. As always, if you're early, feel free to share it. I'm happy to look before you turn it in. Obviously, that doesn't mean like an hour early. That means at least a day. I'm happy to look. Questions, comments, Snide remarks. See you Thursday.
Yeah, literally math lesson.
Oh, by the way, we don't eat in class in case anybody asks. The class, my wife got fined for having food in class, $100 one time. So, yeah, I'm not kidding.
Wait, for what?
ASU rules, you're not allowed to have food in class, so this never happened. But please throw away your trash.
Doesn't have that.
Yeah, are you?
We'll decide on Thursday, it'll be Monday night. And we'll decide what time.
What if you not eaten in 3 hours? I would just leave the class. actually. I would just leave the class actually. You're not gonna let me eat then. You're not
What's the fun? For simplistic sake, how it's important. Here's how you know.
Sorry.
I can subtract, it's integral. So in this case, if someone says E, if someone says A, I know the person E is more. I don't know how much more. That's why they say ordinal. But I know how much more, it's integral.
The semester basically.
So this should say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So it's like.
And I
Integral.
re-stress.
Like you know.
Because you got the ranges in the
Yeah.
ordinal.
Bring it back out.
Yes, ranges are. Yeah.
Ranges.
Are you gonna do it
Okay.
again over
Yep.
here?
Thank you.
Yep.
So, cause I was basically.
Yeah, no.
Like
It,
company, like,
it is a pain.
like
Sixth
bank
grade card is a
company,
pain.
for like the
No,
two
it's-
desires, it's like satisfaction. Yeah, that's not satisfaction. Then I don't understand what another one could be that like I can give a survey to the customers, cause like, I mean, profit could be one, but then.
Yeah, but you're right, it doesn't work for the
Yeah, so I'm.
So satisfaction, what's the company?
Like, I'm doing.
Yep, yeah, so.
Lighting company,
Yeah,
so,
like definitely like.
Yeah. I think she's
satisfaction,
younger.
Yeah.
so you
she's trying to
could
keep
break
up.
satisfaction down.
Relatable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Satisfaction with the music, satisfaction with the
Okay.
decor.
Okay, and that could be my two outcomes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
cool, thank you.
Hi, I have a question about app one. So you put on my comments that you didn't see the demographics, but like.
Yeah,
I
and you
have-
sent it to me and I have, okay, but yeah,
Have you, can you see that I sent you a comment?
yes,
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
thought it just shows up because I don't.
yeah,
receive
yeah,
the
I
new
see that
comments.
and so, yeah, I'll go back in.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
guess I just missed it,
Thank you.
I'll fix it, yeah.
Bye, Candace. I'll see you tonight. Bye.
I had just a question about the comments that you left on my app 3. I'm not really sure what you.
Yep.
Is that meaning like, cause I added like the 5 plus, is that what you mean?
Oh, here, so this is, I'm sorry, so your objective is, we'll have. They have actually more, for they have come to more than one.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, I know, so, if I select B,
uh-huh.
did I come to more than one? I don't know, cause I might have come to 2, I might have come to 1, cause they're in the same range.
So. Would I have to put like 2 or 2 to 3? Is
Yeah,
like the first
yeah, so
option?
yeah, I would do 0 to 1,
Okay.
and then it doesn't matter, but right now if I select B, it's not clear if I met the objective.
So 0 to 1 and then like 2 to 3?
Yep,
and
now it
then
works.
3 to, okay, and then that's still ordinal, right?
Yep,
And then same thing here, right?
for seeing more market, this is a little bit different,
Okay.
okay? Which one's more?
Oh, yeah,
So this is what I was talking about, like if you did a pre and post, you could do this,
okay,
okay? But you're not doing pre and post. So if they select 0, if they select 3 to 5, is that more than before? I don't know, I don't know what they had before.
so maybe I could just be like, just have the question be, have you seen more work?
Yeah, or I would actually, that's it's for report seeing at least 1 or at least 4 or whatever. I would,
For this part of it?
yeah, we'll report seeing at least. As long as it matches, so at least 1. That works. Your spelling is right, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Except
Okay, I'm
for
just gonna,
right.
yeah. So then I would put,
No, that's fine, it
Oh, then
works,
leave
it
it like
works,
that?
cause I know that they select GH or looks like a Kev contain, that I know either of those means. What was tricky about the other one is you had 1 to 2, and so if they selected that, I don't know if they saw 1 or if they saw 2. If
okay,
they saw 1, it didn't meet the objective, but they saw 2, it did, but you had them with the same answer.
and all the other ones were fine.
Yeah, if I didn't comment, they were all fine, then it was fine. Yep.
Okay, great,
Yep.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I just had a few questions with the test because I have like the accommodations.
Yep.
So I have the like note taking thing on there. Have you?
You have note taking for the test?
Yeah, so it's in the
Mhm.
past, I've done where I kind of have like things to cue my brain, so like I'll
Oh, I do remember this.
yeah, so I'll have like acronyms or stuff like that, or
Mhm.
like color coding.
Yep, so you tell me, so, cause I've never done that before, so you
Okay.
tell me what works best.
Yeah, usually I do like some sort of like word bank for myself, any acronyms that I use for like, sometimes I'll put like an empty graph, just so like that stuff that you're writing on the board.
Mhm.
I wouldn't fill it in, but I would
Okay.
have it like empty. If I make all that, like send it to you, like, would that be okay?
Perfect.
Okay, cool.
So. Yeah, that works. Everybody gets a word bank, so what I'll do is I'll just,
Oh,
you'll
okay,
do that one and then whatever else. But
Okay.
yeah, that's perfect.
cool.
Yeah.
And then would you be able to send that in with my test to the sales room?
You're gonna take it there. Yeah.
That's what I was hoping.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still have to schedule it, but.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep, absolutely.
you.
Yep, you're welcome.
I am just still confused on just these two parts.
Okay.
What does it mean to, but like, for a student objective to be based on like written, or sorry, on outcome based?
Versus the strategic.
So yeah, cause it's, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so outcome is our ultimate goal, like, so, I want you to learn about evaluation, that's my outcome.
Mhm.
Strategic is how do I get there? I
Okay.
get there by having lectures, I get there by giving assignments, I get there by you coming to class.
Okay.
And I can write objectives, I can write objectives about you understanding eval, I can write objectives about you coming to class, I can write objectives about how many lectures you listen to.
Okay. Cause then I already have like the organization
Mhm.
model and everything. If you could like take a look at it, of course. Cause I just got up to that first part and then up to that last part, I was like. I think X is up.
Oh.
Or not in.
Probably.
Sorry.
Alright, we'll look there.
So organization, defend the class, so it's based off of providing people with like the grounds training basis for
Okay.
essentially self-defense.
Success, confidence, belief in itself, that looks good. Looks good. The objectives looks good, you just need to write the items to measure.
Cause then cause I didn't know if that was, if those would be the outcome based or if those would be part of.
Those are outcomes. So the strategy is how do people build confidence? How do they have the ability to defend themselves? They attend X amount of classes, they practice at home, they over so many hours.
Okay. So those would be, those are the
Those
strategies.
are the strategies, yeah.
Okay,
It's not always obvious, and sometimes you can make a case that it's either one, which makes it extra complicated.
okay. Didn't know.
Yep, yeah.
And I started back on the philosophy.
Now you're flipping back and forth.
Yeah, I have to like read, I guess, a little further back just to catch up on what
Oh,
I'm,
yeah.
I think I might just continue with one book just to finish it, just so I know I'm doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm a little. I tried this, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Let's see. Specialist. So your populations, people in the outdoor environment.
People in the outdoor environment.
I mean, it doesn't have to be, but I just said if your organization is, it's right, special events for people in the outdoor environment, then I would make my population.
It's that simple?
Yep,
Oh,
that's your population.
okay. People who enjoy. Okay.
could have made it client stupid.
But,
Again, population is a bit how you define it.
oh,
It
okay,
can be this big, it can be this narrow. It's
okay,
up to you. I tend to go bigger because in research, we think bigger, like we want generalized knowledge. Evaluation, we often think narrow.
Okay.
That's a small bit, okay. That looks totally fine. Based on systematic, every third, yep, looks great.
great. Thank you.
Yep. Abby, you just hanging out, or you got a question?
I'm just hanging out.
Cool.
Thank you.
Is the review session that you're doing for the exam just like